In other news related to the Vancouver Canucks, not only did we have Vancouver going out there and filing a trademark claim against a team of 12-year-olds in Ontario, but we also had this video going around of Breakaway, presented by Bell. This is a video segment which features Ottawa Senators GM Steve Staios on the phone at the 2026 NHL Draft. Now, I say quote-unquote at the 2026 draft. We know they weren't at the draft, they were just attending the draft via Zoom because it was done remotely, but Steve Staios was on the phone talking with an NHL team about potentially trading away the 25th overall draft pick. Now, this tweet by Penn System, the text isn't really all too relevant to our conversation. We're not talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins. Instead, we are talking about the actual contents of the video itself. Because if you listen to what Staios is talking about, he clarifies a conversation he is having on the phone. He says, so you want picks 25 and 72 for 33 and 41? And then there is a back and forth that goes over there. Steve Staios hangs up the phone. He talks to his Ottawa Senators staff, and then they end up not making this trade. Funny enough, those picks that were offered to Ottawa, 33 and 41, those happen to have been the Vancouver Canucks' second-round picks in the 2026 draft. Vancouver was offering 33 and 41 to Ottawa for 25 and 72. And the question now here is, with the 25th overall draft pick potentially getting to Vancouver, who was it that the Canucks were targeting? Now, we have a number of hypotheses going out there. Jabo Vancouver asks, who did the Canucks covet at number 25? I wonder, who did they covet so much that they wanted to trade up 8 draft spots from number 33 all the way to 25 to be able to take? Now, just for reference, the Ottawa Senators took Jonas Lagenberg-Hohen with that 25th overall pick. Shortly after, you saw Gleb Pugachev get taken, Tommy Blale, Jackson Cover, some really interesting names go off the board in this range. But Vancouver ultimately took Brooks Borgowski with that 33rd overall pick, and then they took Nicholas Aram Olsen with the 41st overall pick. Had Ryan Johnson gotten his way, these two 41 and 33 overall picks would have belonged to Ottawa. Ottawa would have given Vancouver number 25, and the Canucks would have had back-to-back draft picks with Adam Novotny at the beginning. Now, you did have some other folks going out there and hypothesizing other things. Trevor Beggs asks the question, were Johnson and the Canucks potentially targeting the Ruck twins if they got the 24th and 25th overall picks? The reason you can ask that question, by the way, Beggs, put a shirt on, buddy, what's going on over here? Is because we don't know where the draft was at when Staios and Johnson talked about this trade on the phone. This conversation is taking place at an unknown time within the NHL Draft. If this conversation happened before the Pittsburgh Penguins selected Liam Ruck with the 22nd overall pick, I think there is a pretty fair chance that the Ruck twins back-to-back might have actually been on the radar. Also, you can say, if Vancouver was interested in taking a JP Hurlburt with a second first-round pick in the 20s, that might have been a possibility as well. We know Vancouver was talking to themselves with the 24th overall pick, okay, we'll take either Hurlburt or Novotny. It's going to be Hurlburt or Novotny, one or the other. And then Detroit took Hurlburt, and then Ryan Johnson was like, okay, well, I guess we'll take Novotny. So if this conversation with Ottawa was taking place, let's say during the 14, 15, 16 range of the draft, and the Ruck twins hadn't been drafted yet, Hurlburt hadn't been drafted yet, maybe Vancouver was interested in moving up to 25 to take Hurlburt, or maybe they were interested in taking back-to-back Marcus Ruck. However, I think the biggest and probably most logical conclusion that you can say came about from Vancouver's trade offer to Ottawa was Potentially just a move to move up and take Rogowski. Canuck J says, given how much they liked Rogowski, I wouldn't have been surprised if he was who they were trying to trade up to get. And then they got him anyways at 33rd. I'm glad it worked out the way it did, but I'm also glad that the Canucks are thinking about trades. Too bad they couldn't have gone roster player and kept their picks and added the 25th overall as well. A DeBrusk and a 4th for the 25th. Another reply from Jabo Vancouver's tweet. Lil Peep says, the Canucks did say they had Novotny, Rogowski, and Aram Olsen at the 24 area. I wonder if they were trading up to 25 just to get Rogowski. That really could have been the case. If so, good thing the Sens said no. If the Vancouver Canucks traded away the 33rd and 41st overall picks to 25 in order to get a guy that they got with the 33rd overall pick regardless, they would have missed out on Nicholas Aram Olsen, who is a pretty good goal-scoring prospect and a guy the Canucks seemingly had in the top 25-ish range of the 2026 NHL Draft. So with all that said, I mean, if you assume the Canucks were trying to trade up to get Ruck, if it's Marcus and Liam Ruck instead of, let's say, Adam Novotny, Brooks Rogowski, and Nicholas Aram Olsen, I don't really know how I feel about that. Now, the Rucks are awesome, and we know that they're both going to be a part of the Penguins organization for a while. But are 2 Rucks better than 3 guys the Vancouver Canucks seemingly had ranked in the 25 range in Novotny, Rogowski, and Aram Olsen? If you think about the JP Hurlburt conversation, is that worth it as well? We know Hurlburt inevitably went before Vancouver's 24th overall pick, so it's not really like they had the chance to do that. And Ruck also went too, so maybe this was literally just perfect. The best part is about it too, Brooks Rogowski is now playing some of the best hockey of his life post getting drafted. 3 points in 5 games at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup last year, 3 points in 4 games at the U18s last year, but during the World Junior Summer Showcase, Rogowski was putting on a show, a behemoth of a man, 6'7", 236 pounds, a right-handed center for the ages, and a guy Vancouver had as a top 25 pick. Maybe they were trading up just to get Rogowski. I will say, there are optics that modify a bunch when you talk about teams trading up to get players rather than just drafting whomever was available at that spot. If the Canucks moved up, they traded 2 early seconds to get 25 just to draft Rogowski, I think that might have been seen as a really bad move from an optics perspective amongst the scouting and Canucks community right after the draft. We saw a lot of Canucks fans say, okay, maybe Caleb Malhotra wasn't like the highest ceiling guy you could have taken at 3rd, but Aram Olsen at 41, pretty good. Novotny at 24, pretty good. Rogowski at 33 had a lot of people scratching their heads because conversations indicated that Rogowski might have been a guy that could have been available later. I mean, he was ranked as low as number 61 by Craig Button. Cam's consensus had him at 32, so that's right on the money there. But Rogowski was more of a style, not substance type of player. And I say style, not like he's a super flashy Datsukian quality guy, but he's a big dude who can score some goals, and he was able to do some pretty good damage. Maybe not with the highest offensive ceiling in the OHL last season. And because of that, taking him with the first pick in the 2nd round was already seen as a bit of a red flag. Or maybe not a red flag, a yellow flag, you can say. So if the Canucks traded up to draft Rogowski, that would have been seen as worse, right? Never mind the fact that Rogowski's doing all right now, but just back at the draft floor in June, things would have been a lot different. So the Pens going out there trying to make a trade for 25. Maybe they were trying to get that Marcus Ruck draft pick as well. Maybe the Canucks could have been interested in either of the Rucks at the 20 spot of the draft. Maybe they were just going out there and trading up for Rogowski. Maybe JP Hurlburt was another option they wanted to try to double dip on. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Vancouver Canucks trade proposal that was rejected by Ottawa? 33rd and 41st for 25th and 72nd. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.